Have you ever felt underestimated? Judged before you even had a chance to speak? Today, we're diving into a story that will make your jaw drop, a story about speaking truth to power and the incredible strength found in a young woman's voice. This isn't just a courtroom drama, it's a lesson in courage that unfolded in the most unexpected way. It all started in a stuffy, intimidating courtroom. The air was thick with tension. On one side, a powerful corporation with a team of slick, high-priced lawyers. On the other, Sarah, a 24-year-old recent law school graduate, representing a small community fighting to save their local park from being bulldozed for a luxury high-rise. You could feel the imbalance of power just by looking at them. From the moment the proceedings began, Judge Thompson, a man known for his stern demeanor and old-school ways, seemed to have already made up his mind. He kept sighing, rolling his eyes, and cutting Sarah off mid-sentence. "Miss," he'd say with a dismissive wave of his hand, "let's try to stick to the relevant facts, shall we? We don't have all day for youthful idealism." He even smirked at the corporate lawyers, who barely hid their own condescending smiles. Sarah felt a knot tightening in her stomach. Every objection she raised was frivolous. Every piece of evidence she presented was tenuous. The judge belittled her experience, her arguments, even her passion for the case. "Passion doesn't win cases, young lady," he declared loudly. "Precedent does. And the precedent here is overwhelmingly in favor of development and progress." It was clear he saw her not as a capable lawyer, but as a naive girl playing dress-up in a world she didn't understand. The community members sitting behind Sarah looked defeated. Their shoulders slumped. The hope that had filled the room that morning was quickly evaporating under the judge's constant barrage of condescension. Sarah could feel their despair, and it was heavier than the judge's own scorn. For a moment, she thought about giving up. Maybe he was right. Maybe she was in over her head. But then, she looked down at the worn-out photo in her case file. It was a picture of the park, filled with children laughing on the swings and elderly couples sitting on benches, their faces lit up by the sun. It was the same park where her own grandfather had taught her to ride a bike. This wasn't about legal precedent, it was about people. It was about memories. It was about home. A fire ignited within her, burning away the fear and the self-doubt. The trial dragged on for days. The corporate lawyers presented a mountain of paperwork, citing zoning laws and economic benefits. They painted a picture of a blighted area in desperate need of their revitalization. They made the park sound like a wasteland, and the people who loved it sound like obstacles to progress. All the while, Judge Thompson nodded along, seemingly convinced. Finally, it was time for the closing arguments. The corporate lawyer went first, delivering a polished, confident speech about profits, property values, and the future of the city. He barely glanced at Sarah or the community members. It was a performance, and he was the star. The judge looked pleased. "Very well put, Mr. Davies," he said. Then he turned to Sarah, a look of weary impatience on his face. "Miss, your closing argument. Please, be brief." Sarah took a deep breath. She walked slowly to the center of the courtroom, not to the podium, but to a spot where she could see everyone. The judge, the opposing counsel, and the faces of her community. She didn't have a stack of notes. She just had her truth. The room was quiet, but it was a restless quiet, the kind that comes before the end of a foregone conclusion. "Your Honor," she began, her voice steady and clear, no longer trembling. "For the past week, we've talked a lot about precedent. We've talked about property law, zoning ordinances, and economic impact reports. We've talked about progress." She paused, her eyes meeting the judge's. "But we haven't talked about what progress truly costs. And we haven't talked about the precedent of a community's heart." A murmur went through the gallery. The judge shifted in his seat, his brow furrowing. This wasn't the argument he was expecting. "Mr. Davies and his clients see a plot of land," Sarah continued, her voice rising with passion. "They see square footage and profit margins. But the people behind me, they see the tree their grandfather planted. They see the bench where they had their first kiss. They see the slide their daughter was too scared to go down, until one day, she finally did. These aren't just memories, Your Honor. They are the foundation of a community. They are the roots that hold us together. She turned slightly, gesturing toward the corporate lawyers. You speak of revitalization. But you cannot revitalize something by ripping out its soul. A high-rise building can be built anywhere. But the memories etched into that park, they cannot be moved. They cannot be rebuilt. Once they are gone forever. The room was now utterly silent. The judge was no longer looking impatient. He was leaning forward, his eyes fixed on Sarah. Even the corporate lawyers had stopped shuffling their papers. You've dismissed my arguments as youthful idealism, Sarah said, her voice softening but losing none of its power. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps it is idealistic to believe that a child's laughter is worth more than a luxury condo's price tag. Perhaps it is naive to think that a community as soul has a value that can't be measured in dollars and cents. She took a step closer to the judge's bench. But Your Honor, you also spoke of precedent. Let me ask you this, what precedent do we set today? Do we set a precedent that money can buy anything, that corporations can erase history, that the voices of ordinary people don't matter? Or do we set a different precedent? A precedent that says our communities are not for sale. A precedent that says some things are, and always should be, priceless. She looked from the judge to the people behind her, their eyes now shining with renewed hope. You belittled me, Your Honor. You belittled my youth and my passion. But my passion isn't a weakness. It's my strength. It comes from my love for this community, for these people. And I would rather lose this case fighting with idealism and passion than win it with cold, heartless logic that ignores the human cost. That is my closing argument, she finished, her voice echoing in the profound silence. For a full minute, no one moved. No one spoke. The judge just stared at her, his expression unreadable. The air, once thick with condescension, was now filled with a stunned respect. Sarah had not just presented a legal argument, she had delivered a powerful testament to the human spirit. She hadn't just spoken to the judge, she had spoken for an entire community. In that moment, it didn't matter if she was young or inexperienced. It didn't matter that the odds were stacked against her. She had found her voice, and with it, she had silenced the entire room, forcing everyone in it to confront a truth more powerful than any legal document. The outcome of the case was still uncertain, but one thing was crystal clear. Sarah was no longer a naive young girl. She was a force to be reckoned with. What an incredible story of standing your ground and speaking from the heart. It's a reminder that your voice matters, no matter who tries to silence it. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content that inspires. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to find your voice? Share your story with our community. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.